Hey everybody, and welcome back to another exciting episode of First Time Watch Fridays here on Horror Film Lovers. I'm your host, Jonathan Moody, and we're here to talk about Skinner. So I had never seen this movie. I had never even heard of this movie until I was at Tidewater Horror Con. And I was like, ooh, I need to check out what they got here. So I hopped on board, started looking around, talked to the guy, about the guy selling everything, and I saw Skinner and I saw Ted Raimi, Ricky Lake, and Tracy Lords on the top. And I was like, that is a powerhouse cast right there. Like the movie, if anything, is going to be entertaining with just those three together. Um, so I was really excited. I talked to Paul. Paul had, I think, never heard of it or whatnot. At least it didn't seem like he did. Maybe he had. But it is not a very common movie. In fact, if I was talking to like I want to talk to him at some point about it because this would be like this is perfect for like what the F Friday, or also he could do another one himself for Forgotten Horror Classics. Like this would fit all of those kind of things. So I decided for first time watch Friday, I was gonna check it out, and I started watching it. I'm like, this is wacky and weird. And eventually we're gonna do it for what the F Friday for sure. So I started watching it, and let me explain to you a little bit about what it's about. I'm not going to go into full detail or anything, but basically, it's about this guy named Dennis Skinner, who is a serial killer psychopath who basically has been killing people from like town to town and everything. And he comes back to water. So I guess he likes any place kind of like directly toward water. And he ends up getting a room to rent from Ricky Lake's character. Ricky Lake and her husband, I don't know the guy's name offhand, but he's a truck driver, so he's constantly busy driving his truck around. He's not able to be at the house much, and so she's alone and she rents the room from Skinner. He seems harmless. He seems like a very geeky guy, you know. At one point, one of the guys is saying he's always smiling like a loon, which does not sit well with him, and we'll get into that later. Um, so he's going off and basically he's finding uh and this would be spoilers, sorry, you're gonna hear lots of spoilers, but he's finding hookers, and he's bringing them back to wherever they are and killing them and then wearing their skin. That's what he does. He just wears people's skin and everything. And he's been doing that. I think his dad taught him how to do that, like with his mom and stuff like that. And so he ended up um, becoming like this psychopathic serial killer going around doing that. So he's kind of like people are kind of like the cops are out looking for him because he's been skinning people alive and everything. Not live. I think most of the time they're dead before he skins them. Um, I don't know. It got weird. The first time you see it, you don't exactly see what's happening, which makes this the whole thing what the fuck. But you don't see what's happening, and he goes around and he kills the girl. So but he tells the girl, the prostitute, that he's going to go into the uh was it the bathroom, and she can't open her eyes until he says so. And she's playing along with it for a while, and then I think she hears something, so she opens up her eyes and sees this guy dressed up like a woman and like woman's skin, and he, does not like that she woke up, and he kills her and then skins her body. And so he keeps coming home, and it just gets, honestly, it just keeps getting weirder and weirder and stuff. And I just, like, the whole time I was like going, "Ooh, what just happened? Oh my God, this is interesting." Like, I kept getting, like, it kept my interest going because things kept getting weirder and weirder. You just didn't know where it was going. This is why, once again, why. So what the F? Because if you haven't seen it, things are going to confuse the heck out of you in the beginning. Uh, Tracy Lords plays one of his former victims who's renting her a place, like a hotel, from the skeezy guy played by Richard Schiff. And Richard Schiff her to wants to nail her. And she has no, I mean, all her focus is on killing him. There is a little bit of sexual stuff, but that's toward the end with that. So yeah, so anyway, uh, he's doing all this stuff. He's working at this sort of plant, place like factory, and he, I was so worried. Um, it didn't say he killed the dog, but there is a dog in it, and he got poisoned by this like bad meat, from the skin, thing, and um but the dog didn't die, I don't think. I hope not. I think he said that the guy said he was lucky to catch it in time, that he didn't eat the full thing and die from it. Which that sucks because that but that just shows you his psychopathic side. He doesn't even care about dogs. Dog dies. He doesn't care. I care about dogs. I don't want to see anything happen to dogs. Especially ones that don't, aren't bad. Um, and they're going after the bad guys. That's the thing. So so Skinner rents a room from Ricky Lake. Oh, come up every night, like kind of bloody and everything. And he has like a bloody towel, and she finds it, and he says he cut himself. But I'm like, Jesus Christ, he got a lot himself pretty bad. Um, the way that it looked like, and he's been like soaking in the tub, and he just like, he enjoys what he's doing. And so I heard I watched an interview with Ted Raimi, and he's like talking about how he wanted to look up the difference between like a sociopath and a psychopath, and he really felt like the psychopath was the way he was going to go with this, so he went that way. Um, he also said like one of the most offensive scenes in the movie involved him getting, killing this uh African American guy and dressing up in his skin and then sort of imitating him. And even the writer, because I watched an interview with the writer, and the writer said that too. Like that wasn't actually a scene he wrote. They added that in there, and that was a little bit too much, maybe, for a lot of people. And so, just to let you know that there's a scene like that in the movie, and that might actually turn you off from watching it. And that's a trigger warning. Um, but if you've probably listened to this so far and heard that there's spoilers, hopefully you've seen the movie. So, meanwhile, Tracy Lawrence wants to figure out where it is. The Richard Schiff guy you know, found out where he lived. They have an exchange of it. She goes after him, but it's already too late. Well, in a way, he's already kidnapped the girl, Ricky Lake's character, brought her back to his factory, and kind of chained her up and everything. Meanwhile, the guy whose dog it was, he's a security guard, he starts hearing things happening and starts looking around like the husband comes back with to the house, finds out, sorry, and that she's been kidnapped, and the husband wants to know what's going on. The husband never liked Ted Raimi to begin with, Ted Raimi's character Skinner to begin with. So he's going out there looking for his, or whatever, with Tracy Lords. They go to the factory that he thinks the guy Skinner works at, which he may not have, worked at that particular place, or he may not even brought her there, but that was where you're pretty sure he was. And, and then there's an escalation, fight, different stuff. And I don't want to just go into everything, but that's what happens to the end. It's pretty cool. There's some there's some gunfight, there's some, other fighting, and uh Ted Raimi is so goofy and over the top. It's almost kind of Jim Carrey like, where he's just his facial expressions are so all over there. I think there's one point where he does like a Three Stooges thing. Is like woo 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 woo. Kind of weird shit like that. And I really, really liked it. Like, I was happy to have it. I'm happy to own it. I'm happy to show it off to people. Like, that's gonna be my next thing. Is this something I would watch again, like on my own? Probably not. But I would show it to people who've never seen it or whatever. Because this is a really fun movie. It's enjoyable. It's, I think what did I give it? I think I gave it 4 stars. So, um, So 4-star movie to me. It's not a 5 star or 4.5. Like it's not nothing that big, but for a movie that I never heard of, that was very much like people thought that this was a ripoff of Silence of the Lambs or so, and it wasn't. They in the interview with the writer, he got called, and this came out around the same time, and it looked like it was a. So this came out in '93, and I think Silence of the Lambs came out either '91 or '92. I want to say '91. But yeah, and yeah, '91. So it came out 2 years later. So of course this looks like it's it's a ripoff, and it's not. It's just a similar story, and it's not even like a complete similar story. Like it's not. It just happens that the guy wears, and both of them were inspired by Ed Gein. So, which, by the way, they just came out with that Monsters thing with Ed Gein. I did not watch it yet. I don't know if I'm really that interested in it. I don't like that people take liberties on the truth and stuff like that. I don't mind if somebody does this where it's a character that isn't Ed Gein, but it's similar to Ed Gein. That's different. But like Texas Chainsaw Massacre was inspired by Ed Gein. Hell, Psycho was a little inspired, and you can tell, um, because the way that it is and the way that kind of in this movie it had a little bit of Psycho in it too, but instead of him wearing like his mother's clothes or whatever and thinks he's his mother, he wears women's clothes generally. That's who he kills. And he goes after people he doesn't think anyone's ever gonna miss. So, that's a typical serial killer thing is where they go after people who you wouldn't normally miss. Like prostitutes, like cops aren't gonna really be looking for the killer of somebody like that, or like pimps or something like that. Well, in this case, it's hookers and the the guy um, the guy that worked there, Earl, who African American guy, who he wears his clothes and stuff too, or his skin too, and becomes him or whatever, imitates him, and he's running down saying, "I'm Earl," and doing all this stuff. Very, very offensive things, but you know, that was sort of supposed to be offensive. Like, I think if you weren't offended by that, then the thing didn't do its job correctly enough. I think it was supposed to be that this guy was technically one of really, really, really offensive dudes. Like he wasn't a nice guy. He not somebody that you could look up to. You know what I mean? So all in all, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a lot of fun. I thought the characters were interesting. That the fact that a lot of it just took place at Ricky Lake's house, which wasn't her real house, but the character's house. Um, and apparently it was like right down the road from where Ted Raimi was staying, so we just walked a block and a half to go to the set every day. Um, I don't think he'd do that now. I don't know how that area is there now, but that just sounds silly. Um, but I think there's a lot of great things. Like the special features are amazing. I was kind of disappointed by one thing, and that has nothing like that's well, it is what it is. But I did not see any commentary, so there are no commentary tracks. on here, but there's enough interviews where I think you get enough information. But there's A Touch of Scandal, interview with director Ivan Nagy, or Nagy. Um, Probably said his name incredibly wrong. Under His Skin, interview with star Ted Raimi. That's what I checked out. Bargain Bin VHS for a Buck. That's interview with screenwriter Paul Hart Wilden, and that's also what I checked out. Cutting Skinner, interview with editor Jeremy Caston, and a flying sequence outtakes and extended takes. No, flaying. Sorry, that's the flying. I was like, really? Did somebody fly? Flaying sequence outtakes and extended takes and trailer. So, uh, that's a lot, right? Like for the back of this. But I honestly really enjoyed it. I think it's a really fun movie. I highly recommend it for people who've not seen it. I don't know if it's on Tubi or anything. Let's see if it's on anything. Because if it's on Tubi, I definitely highly recommend you checking it out first and then potentially buying it. Um, hmm, let's see, 1993. Yes, here we go. It is on Tubi. It's also on Fossum and Plex and Prime Video if you wanna buy it, or Amazon if you want to buy it. I also recommend buying it. I mean, I bought it sight unseen, never, blind buy. Wasn't sure if this was going to be any good. I had an absolute blast. I thought this movie was fantastic. I highly recommend it. So if you haven't got a chance to see, supposed to see it with a friend of mine, but unfortunately, every time we planned to hang out, just didn't work out. So I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna wait. Now, if I watch it again, that's different because it'll be more fun to see what somebody else has to say. But um, and it's like only like an hour and what was it? 88 minutes, almost not even an hour and a half, like an hour and 28 minutes. So quick. It went by like that, honestly. And it was really great because I was not wanting to do a lot that day. But anyway, check it out if you get a chance to. It's on Tubi. I think you like it. If you don't get a chance, if you have no interest, don't worry about it. But look at that. I mean, that's Ted Raimi at his Ted Raimiest. This almost looks like a scene from like a Evil Dead or something, you know. But this is like one of the few Ted Raimi movies where Ted Raimi got to be the lead. Another one of my favorites is a movie called Lunatic's a Love Story, which I absolutely love. And so like it's really great to see him as a lead. He should be a lead in another something else, coming up. Like he should be the leading man in something, or whatever. He's fantastic. Uh he's a Raimi, he's just like his brother, with the slapstickiness and goofiness and stuff, and I love it. So definitely check it out if you haven't had a chance. And let me know what you guys think. All right, I will be back a couple weeks from now. I think I'll do another first time watch Friday, or maybe I'll do it next week. I don't know. I'm being very all over the thing. I don't even know if I have a plan this month, so we'll see. Um, but I want to do this now because I'm excited. I like this, and this was a lot of fun. So hope you guys enjoyed this, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.